Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast. Time to hashtag everything. We talk about all the fun, crazy stories on social media. From Instagram to Facebook, Twitter to Tumblr, or probably even Friendster. Join us each week as we explore the quirky side of social media. It's the Golden State Media Concepts social media podcast.
It's simple, such a sad song. The one that we rely on to get us.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Now, I'm your host, Jose, and I want to say thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I've been having a lot of fun with these lately, and it's quite a ride just making these podcasts every single time. And without further ado, let's get right into the news this week. Or I guess it's Monday. I keep messing that up, but on this Monday, so a new Loki trailer dropped. I just want to give a little preface. This week is actually pretty good in terms of entertainment. So if this were like the entertainment or movie podcast, there was a lot of content to talk about because there's a lot of hype about new films coming out. So again, first off, the Loki trailer has been dropped, and IGN posted it on their YouTube account, and it's already at 239,000 views with 23,000 likes in just 2 hours, which is amazing because you just love to see it with everything that they've been putting out. And fans on Twitter are excited. There's so many theories coming out, and I'm honestly one of those people who are kind of like thinking deep into what the future is for the show. And yes, it is a show on Netflix, not Netflix, sorry, Disney Plus. And yeah, I'm really excited for that. And like I said, people are excited. People are getting more theories, more ideas, and telling what they think about it. And it's really cool to see a whole community just become involved with such like one thing. And it's a lot of fun, and I'm really excited again for what the future has to offer when it comes to Loki. And right now, the Falcon and Winter Soldier, that show is also out right now, and that's about two of the characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. As you know, if you listen to the previous episodes, my love for the whole WandaVision and that whole series there. And then right now I'm loving Falcon and Winter Soldier, and and I'm really excited for what the future has to offer in terms of these characters. And so continuing off sort of the entertainment side, Warner Brothers recently released on their YouTube channel a new trailer for Space Jam: A New Legacy. So that's the title of it. And I haven't seen Space Jam ever since when I was really, really young, and then again, I don't remember what happened in that film. I know Michael Jordan was in it, and a bunch of the cartoon characters were in it too, and that was fun to watch when I was a kid. But I kind of need to rewatch it at one point if I wanna watch this new Space Jam, because to get a little understanding. It's probably not continue off, but still, and it's right now on Warner Brothers. When I wrote all this the information down, it's at 10 million views in just 2 days. So that's a lot for these types of the trailers. And considering it's like a reboot, I'm assuming, or continuation, whether it be one of those, it's still getting a lot of traction. A lot of people liked it, and it's really exciting to see. And overall, it's getting a lot of positive reviews in terms of comments and reactions on social media. There's not a lot of people saying it's bad, but of course you get some haters, or if you get some people who are saying oh, it's not good as the original. Of course, the original is always going to be the best, and I think Space Jam is no excuse to that. So I'm wishing it's going to be good. I'm hoping it is, and and of course you can't outlive the original one unless it's really, really good, because I know a lot of people loved the original Space Jam. It was a classic for even adults and kids and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see if this will be the new classic for kids in the future. And the phrase international vaccine is gaining some popularity on Twitter right now, and that's because there's some issues going on with that, or people's opinions are trending all over Twitter about international vaccines. So, Dr. Fauci did make an announcement. I forgot. I don't know where he put out an announcement. He did make an announcement that international vaccines, so vaccines that are required prior to traveling, are recommended, but not required by the government. So, say if you want to travel to Hawaii, or let's give international. Actually, let's do if you want to travel to Europe, or to specifically if you want to travel to France. How about that? You would have to have the COVID-19 vaccine already had, I believe, both shots, if you got the other ones, and you would have to have both of them, and you would have to show your card of proof in order to travel. So you can't just travel on your own willingly, not willingly, but you just can't travel on your own internationally. And it has a lot of precautions in that sense, where it's keeping a lot of people safe, but a lot of people are also disagreeing with that because I can't travel now for my own free will. I have to have a shot before I even leave, and people are kind of angry at that too. What Dr. Fauci said, and some people are agreeing with what Dr. Fauci said. And Dr. Drew tweeted even a lot of negative responses to that, and how he felt that. Let me actually pull up the actual thing itself, because it was kind of a long tweet where he was not. You can tell he was clearly upset about the announcement that Dr. Fauci had made about that. So I can find that real quick. See me one second. I'm pretty sure I saw it somewhere, but it's on trending now. Why am I looking at the wrong one? But there was a lot of negative responses in terms of Dr. Drew's tweet, and people were kind of disagreeing with that. So he said on his tweet here, if I can pull it up for load. Okay, he said, These vaccine passports segregate people and strip them of their freedom to travel internationally. Vaccinations are important, and I encourage everyone to get the COVID vaccine, but how would you feel if international travel also required other vaccinations? So people were like, that's true, I shouldn't be limited to having a vaccine in order to travel. What if I need to see my family urgently and I haven't got a vaccine? Well, that's also a valid argument. But there's also people just wait until he hears about public schools, because in public schools you do need to have certain vaccines so you don't spread it to other children. So, there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on with that whole situation, where it's true with that one person. If I can find that tweet, actually, because it's kind of funny when I read this. Because at Digifile, Alex Howard said, international travel requires vaccinations and has for decades. I had to get them to visit Brazil in 1999 and India in 2015. The U.S. requires foreign nationals to be vaccinated. I felt fine. Vaccines work. I don't want to be protected against preventable diseases. And a lot of people were kind of disagreeing with that, with what Dr. Drew said about how, how would you feel if international travel also required vaccinations? Because, a lot of people have realized that they actually do. And he's getting sort of a lot of hate in that, or, I don't know, I wouldn't, get so much hate, but I feel like he was getting a decent amount of hate when it comes to this situation and how he's reacting to it, because it is the concerns of the nation's safety, and he's sort of against that. Not against it totally, because he even said, I highly recommend you getting the vaccine, but why would you do this? So, he's still questioning the safety of the citizens. No, he's questioning the citizens' safety. That's what I meant. So, that whole situation is very interesting to see, and, having to see these officials sort of not argue, but, go against each other on social media is quite concerning, You do see that quite often, but when it comes to doctors and whatnot, usually they're on par with their other ideas, and they sort of agree on everything. And seeing that was really, really interesting, and it's something you don't see that quite often. And let me see the actual statistics on that tweet that he posted. So right now, okay, that's kind of funny, because when I wrote this down, it was around 20 minutes ago, and it was only had 400 plus tweets. Now it's at 518 retweets. That's what I meant. and it was at 4,900, around 4,900 quote tweets, but now it's at almost 6,000 quote tweets and still around 2,000 likes. So a lot of people have talked about this. It's creating a lot of buzz, and yeah, I don't agree. I don't. What's that? I was trying to say something. I don't necessarily disagree or agree with the whole situation itself, because everyone has their own valid points about the whole situation. Personally, I would still get the COVID vaccine. Like, I would understand why. I understand why you need to get a vaccine before you have to travel, because you don't want to spread it to other countries. Like, I think it's Australia. It's like they're living quite free right now. Like, they don't have to wear masks. They're not social distancing. Of course, they are aware that COVID-19 is still a thing, but they have been quite vigilant in terms of safety. And I wouldn't want to be that person that had, say, if I did have COVID, I wouldn't want to be that person that would bring that to Australia and sort of ruin it and bring it back to them, you know. So that's why I kind of understand. But I also get to understand that some people may feel uncomfortable by having to do that. Like I said earlier, with like, what if you need to visit family all the way in Asia, like very suddenly, and you have, like, the only time you can get a vaccine is 2 weeks from now, but you don't have time in 2 weeks. So I feel like it depends on the situation, but having that mandate of, getting a vaccine, I really do understand. Now, next up on Twitter, hashtag #MySignature. There's a move, not a move, but like there's like a little trend going on Twitter with hashtag #MySignature on Twitter. It started by Jimmy Fallon. I believe he might put it on the show. So if you want to get on, if you want to possibly be on Jimmy Fallon's show, make sure to tweet out something you do that's very unique. So yeah, the whole point of the #MySignature thing is, if you do any funny or weird things that only you do, like uniquely to you, make sure to tweet him on Twitter. And yeah, I mean, honestly, take the opportunity to possibly be on Jimmy Fallon. And Jimmy Fallon's one of my favorite Jimmys on late night TV. And I mean, even I might do something. I don't know. Maybe I'll look for something. But I kind of want to go through that whole feed and just talk about it on one of my later segments, because it's kind of a funny topic. And again, it's something that I really want to dive into, because I read some of the tweets already, and they were already kind of funny. So maybe I'll read up on them afterwards. So, or my future segment. And on YouTube, music is still trending. There's not much going on. A lot of rod wave, a lot of rap, hip hop, and yeah, that's really it for YouTube. There wasn't really much. And on TikTok, this is kind of funny. Hashtag sheesh is like SHEESH, or how many ever E's you want to put in that word, but that's trending on TikTok, and I get the hype. It's kind of a meme right now online where people are saying sheesh like that, and I don't know why. I get why it's funny, but I don't know why it's even trending, I don't understand why it's even like a hashtag. But yeah, hashtag sheesh is trending, and usually sheesh is said when it's like something's cool, like, yo, look at my new kicks. Oh my god. Look at my new kicks. Sheesh. That's kind of like that sort of thing. And like, yo, mom, the food that you made tonight was so good. Sheesh. Or like, you're eating it. Sheesh. So it's like, it's a weird, funny reaction where it's kind of like a ironic, it sounds weird type of meme going on right now. And I'm here for it. I've said it before. I've said it multiple times around my family and friends. And yeah, I think it's just overall really funny. And for news regarding Lil Nas X, Nike did have a put on a restraining order for Lil Nas X, and they stopped the production of the shoes because they don't want to do that. They had to stop him, and they did successfully sue, I believe, Lil Nas X, and now the Satan shoes are no longer being produced. And people are kind of upset about that, because of course there is that concern that makes sense with Nike and some followers, where people are like, oh, he's promoting the devil and whatnot. But there's a lot of hate, not a lot of hate, but there's been people quite hesitant about Nike now, because you're prohibiting individualism and people's like ideas and whatnot, and creativity and whatnot. And I can get that. I can see where people can come from that, but there's also that idea of like, I I'm not sure if it's a good idea or something like that. So Nike just sort of just stopped, just halted on producing the shoe, and just made mischief, just not even do it anymore. Which I totally, again, I understand. And lastly, on the internet, Stokes twins were arrested for faking a robbery. So if you don't know who they are, I believe they're YouTubers. I don't really know them that well. I've seen them around on YouTube. I've never clicked on a video of theirs, but Stokes twins were arrested for having a fake robbery, and it was supposed to be a prank, but police thought it was real, and they did get arrested, but they did plead guilty for a fake robbery prank. Sorry, I almost said plank, but fake robbery prank. And yeah, they pleaded guilty, so they got out of, they didn't have to go to jail or anything like that. But it kind of shows it was kind of dumb for them to do that, because they got like real people involved, and people who could potentially call the police on them. So kind of a dumb idea on them, but whatever, it's their hustle, I guess. And I saw the prank for a little bit, and it was kind of chaotic, and not a big fan of it, just because I'm not a big prank person. I do like pranks, but I don't like it when YouTubers do the pranks that they do. Some of them are actually good, but some of them are way over the top or even fake. So yeah, and that's really it in the news this week. So for my next segment, I want to talk about someone who I kind of been pushing back on talking about, because I'm very 50-50 on who they are as an influencer, not an individual. I'm not gonna judge them on that, but as an influencer, they have good days and bad days, and I want to talk about Jake Paul, the problem child. I'll talk about him in the next segment, but first I'm going to take a quick break, and I'll see you all in a second.
Do you want to be healthier, yet you just don't know what to do? All these shows telling you this and that, but nothing seems to work. Well, listen close. Golden State Media Concepts has got something great for you. The Health and Wellness Podcast, dedicated to workout trends, healthy eating habits, diet, and everything about healthy living. Join us in our banters as we help you not just live life to the fullest, but live it to the healthiest.
Alright, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. So, in this segment, I want to talk about Jake Paul and who he is as a person, because, he's created quite a lot of controversy on the whole social media platforms, whether it be Instagram, YouTube, even, Vine, Twitter, and there's always something going on with his name, and I kind of want to talk about him and his whole history, because although he is hated by a lot of people, I gotta give him some respect. He has made a name for himself, and he has been able to gain a lot of traction and still retain fans from what he does. And I definitely want to talk about Jake Paul in this next one. So, a little backstory, or a little background information. He was born on January 17th, 1997. He's now currently 24 years old, and he initially started off as a Vine star, I guess. So just like his older brother, Logan Paul, which I've talked about in previous episodes, he had 5.3 million followers with around 2 billion views total before, obviously, Vine shut down. And again, as a lot of YouTubers did, he moved on to, as a lot of Viners did, he moved on into YouTube and started making YouTube content. So in his first video in May of 2014, he made a YouTube video called Jake Paul Daily Vlogs, and that's what he did. He made a lot of daily vlogs about his life, his career, his relationships with people. So he's kind of like a natural born content creator in a sense, where he was able to gain a following with a lot of people, and just sort of gain a connection with, I guess, a younger demographic from what I've heard. Now, he then continued on making vlogs, and he made music, and he even made a whole YouTube group called Team 10, and he collaborated with a lot of other YouTubers, previously. So, I don't know the exact YouTuber. I actually think it's one of the brothers I mentioned before. I think it was like the Stokes twins, where they were part of Team 10 too. And Team 10 was basically a group of YouTubers, influencers that they all lived together and sort of made content together. I think it was one of the first content houses ever, before they were popular on TikTok. So yeah, he made Team 10 and made daily vlogs and whatnot, and eventually moved on to the whole music industry by making diss tracks. So back in 2015, diss tracks was a fairly popular thing to do, to get at other influencers. If you had beef with them, or if you wanted to start beef with other influencers, you would just make a diss track, and that would be it. So Jake Paul made a lot. He didn't make. Okay, granted, there were definitely a lot of other influencers that made more diss tracks, but Jake Paul was one of the people who sort of, gave into that and made a lot of diss tracks to other people. And one of them was to Comedy Shorts Gamer, which is KSI's younger brother. Which during that time, KSI was going to fight, like boxing fight, Logan Paul. And I believe that's where it really started with like whole YouTube boxing and whatnot. And then they were the main event, and then the undercard was the Little Brothers, which just kind of makes sense. But yeah, at that time, Logan Paul had his brother Jake, and KSI had his younger brother Deji. And Jake and Deji fought as the undercard, and Logan Paul and KSI were the main event. So, yeah, and then Jake made that diss track to Comedy Shorts Gamer, which is Deji. That's his YouTube handle. And, yeah, that's where he really went out for that. That's where he started, I believe that's where he started making music and started taking it seriously. And that's where that's where he found his love for music. And, actually, he made a very popular song in 2017 called It's Everyday Bro. And then I mentioned that in one of my episodes in talking about, who was it? I believe was it Cody Ko? I remember mentioning It's Everyday Bro, and yeah, he made a song it's called It's Everyday Bro, and basically talks about himself and how he's grinding and working hard, on his TV shows. Which, fun fact, he was on Bizaardvark on Disney Channel, but Disney Channel dropped him after some foul things he said online. And it was too much like a bad influencer, so they dropped him and took him off the show. But yeah, he made a song called Everyday Bro, and it gained a lot of traction. I'll just say that it gained 280 million views, with 3 million likes and a whopping 5.2 million dislikes. So that ratio was very, very negative. And that's where I think he started to get a little bit more hate during that era, because he was flexing his car, he was flexing his career in a sense. And he's like, "Oh, I'm coming for PewDiePie," which is PewDiePie at the time had almost 900 million subs. So yeah, good luck with that. And yeah, he was just still making videos and whatnot. So he was the average YouTuber that would be making normal content. Well, quote unquote normal content, just daily vlogs, music videos and whatnot. So, that was sort of the normal at the time. And eventually, after the fight with KSI's little brother Deji, he sort of found, I guess, a love for boxing, and he started, doing more boxing stuff. Eventually, he had to fight Enisan Gibb in 2019, and yeah, he just sort of continued on his boxing career. And actually, I wanted to mention this before because I wanted the whole segment in this segment, where he made a song that did get I think this is where people he completely ticked off people. He made a song against teachers, the beloved people who are educating our future. He made a diss track against them, which is absolutely kind of absurd it's kind of disrespectful in my opinion. As much as this is a non-opinionated sort of segment, it's kind of it's kind of rude when it comes to teachers, because of course students can have bad experiences with certain teachers, and of course there are some bad teachers in general, but you sort of just dissed a bunch of teachers about how they don't care about I'm gonna go through some lyrics. I kind of want to break that down and give my opinion on them, because it's just really interesting how he just made a diss track about teachers. So it's the song is called My Teachers, which is a really creative name for a diss track, because they're specifically his teachers. So I'm guessing that's his experience. And it's by him, and has a bunch of other features. Anthony Trujillo. and Sonny Malouf. So, yeah. And she was part of Team Dancing, it says here on Genius. So, thank you, Rap Genius. Shout out for them for giving me the lyrics here because I can't wait to dive into them. And one of the first lines is, my teachers never taught me that, how to deal with this or that, how to make my paper stack, how to get a DM back, how to buy a Lambo cash. My teachers never taught me that. Yo. And, it makes sense that they don't teach you that, because now not every student is gonna buy a Lambo cash in their lifetime. Sometimes some of them want to work a 9-to-5 job. Some of them want to be a scientist. Not everyone's gonna buy. Of course, people want Lambos, but not everyone's gonna get a Lambo cash, like buy it in cash. Of course, they're not gonna teach you that because it's not a common thing. Sure, you can learn how to do it by taking a finance class, which they teach in school, but they're not gonna like, this is buying Lambo cash 101. Fun fact, I want to say this, that joke has been made, Lambo cash 101 joke I just said has been made already, but I just wanted to reiterate that joke. Credits to Cody Ko and Noah Miller for that, but it's true, like what they said, like they don't have a class, even in college, talking about how to buy a Lambo cash, or how to get my paper stack, or welcome to how to get a DM back 101, where we're going to teach you how to properly talk to people in your DMs and Instagram. They're not going to make classes about that. Like, and, there's like some other like weird lines that he has in this song. Here it is. My Lambo hit the gas and all these Priuses I'm passing. 2016 to Calabasas. I feel like I'm Kim Kardashian. Now, okay, I gotta give him that. Passing to Kardashian, that was a good rhyme right there. But that first line, my Lambo hit the gas and all these Priuses I'm passing. Of course you're gonna pass a Prius. It's a Prius. No hate to Priuses, but it's a Prius. My Lambo hit the gas and all these Prius. It's just like, of course you're gonna pass a Prius because you're in a Lamborghini. Like, what else are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna drive 10 miles, like 10 miles under the speed limit because of a Prius? No. If you're in a Lambo, you're mostly in California. You're probably gonna like speed with your Lambo. And he's just flexing on people who are like, you're broke because I have a Lambo and you're driving your Prius. Priuses are pretty good for everyday driver. Like, I wouldn't want to go on a road trip in a Lambo, Jake Paul. I would want to go on a road trip in a Prius. If I had one, because it has a good cargo space, and it can fit 4 of my friends. I think it's a 5-seater. Yeah, 4 of my other friends. Your Lambo can fit probably 2, because you have so much money in the back of your car. No, but I'm kind of going off a little tangent here. But yeah, he made this song, and then they're just like, my teachers never taught me that. Yeah, that's the chorus, actually. The Sonny Malouf says, I need to get my B's and raise them up to them A's. I walk into class, I got Supreme on my J's. And I think Cody Ko and Wilmer even said this too. No one cares if you walked into class with J's on. Of course, you're probably like, oh, nice shoes, but like no one cares. Like, oh my god, does she have Supremes on? Does she have Supreme J's on? That's pretty cool. Like Sonny Malouf. Nice shoes. I really like your J's. No, people are in there to sleep in class. People are there to relax and learn. No one's paying attention to your J's. Unless you got some hypebeast in the class, but in general, no one's gonna be like, not the 30 people in your high school class are not gonna be like, oh my gosh, nice shoes, nice J's, I really like your J's there, that's really nice. Because that doesn't happen. Because I've never seen it happen before. And I've experienced, I went to high school, I have experience from that, so yeah. And all it's just like, some of them are like weird, and like, detentions every day got me kicked off the team, and the teachers never cared about my California dream. Boo-hoo. Again, I think that's another Cody Ko. They did a whole video about Everyday Bro, and they made so many disses, and I thought it was just so funny, but it's true. Boo-hoo. No one cares about California dream. Okay, I want to be a little positive here. Of course, people care about your California dream. People care about your dream. You should care about your friend's dreams because they're your friend. But, teachers have a lot of going on already, getting your tests and your essays, and they don't want to do that. I'm sure that they don't want to do that. they want to inspire the future of the nation, of the world. But they're not gonna be like, should I give an F to Timmy? I don't know. His California Dream though seems kind of promising. Not gonna be like that. Okay, I'll tell you that. They're probably not gonna be like that. But yeah, I think it's just funny. This whole segment here, kind of going on like on a tangent about Jake Paul, but continuing off on who he is. That's the end of that segment, because if I could make a whole episode like just this, I could do that. Deciphering YouTubers' music. Oh my gosh, I'm probably gonna do it in my next episode. Watch out, because I'm gonna be deciphering bad YouTube music. But yeah, he started boxing with Deji and then Nissan Gibb in 2018, and now he fought Nate Robinson in 2020. And fun fact, he won that. I think 3 rounds, knocked Robinson out cold, like immediately. And I was shocked. People were shocked, and people were upset that Jake won. And I was one of those people that was upset. But yeah, he won that fairly quickly, and he knocked him out in the third round, third round too. And it brings a question, like, is Jake just pulling people who don't know how to fight just to get these wins? Because first off, Deji wasn't a fighter; he was a YouTuber. But still, Jake won. I'll give him respect for that. And Nissan Gibb, he was also a YouTuber, but Jake won, and I'll give him respect for that. Whatever. But he's still fighting these people who have no experience in fighting too. Nate Robinson, he's a basketball player. Jake is just calling out random people on social media and then getting them to fight them to win, because he knows he's going to win because he has experience boxing. But like people like Nate Robinson, he's a basketball player. He doesn't know how to fight. He probably thought he had the cardio too, but he doesn't. And yeah, and then now he's going to fight Ben Askren on April 17th, 2021. And I kind of want to fight this because Ben Askren is an MMA fighter. So he's finally fighting someone who has fighting experience, not boxing experience though. Because obviously boxing is more strategic when compared to MMA. But Ben Askren has that long sort of experience when it comes to fighting and being in a ring with another person. Going at 1-on-1. So I'm really interested in how this is going to go, because in terms of boxing experience, Jake has an advantage. But in terms of fighting experience and the pressure that it comes with, Jake does not. Ben does. And with all the fights that Jake has had so far, they were quite, they were short, and I don't think people believe he hasn't had the experience yet of fighting under pressure, and that's true. He hasn't had the experience of fighting under pressure yet. So it's all really, really interesting, and yeah, I think in my next segment I really want to talk about YouTube boxing, because it's just the whole realm of it is going. It's kind of downhill, As I mentioned last week, there's gonna be that YouTuber versus TikToker fight going on, and I kind of want to talk about that, and just whole what's going on with boxing on YouTube, and sort of the history behind it, because it's kind of a not short history, but it's kind of like a well detailed history. And I'll talk about that in my next segment. But first, we're gonna take a quick break.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Alright, everybody, welcome back to the podcast. So, on this segment, I want to talk about YouTube boxing and the whole sort of world has gained on its own within the past couple of years. And it's had a quite complex but sort of straightforward at the same time history to it because of the traction it has gained and the amount of followers it's had. And to begin, I believe one of the first YouTube boxing events was because of KSI versus, I forgot. Oh, yeah, KSI versus Joe Weller. And that happened back in 2018 where Joe Weller was, I believe he was a YouTuber, but also did sort of boxing on the side where he didn't fight really anyone. He fighted a bunch of other low sort of quote low level YouTubers. That's how I want to say it, but sort of less well known YouTubers, and he eventually called out KSI. I forgot the reason why he called him out, but Joe Weller called out KSI to a YouTube fight, and KSI eventually won. And they've had some sort of history together prior to the fight, and they even have made some sort of content together. And I believe they've sort of beefed on Twitter and some YouTube stuff like that. So there was stuff history. There was history behind them, and that's why Joe proceeded to call KSI out. Again, like I said, KSI did eventually prevail in the end of the end of the fight, and that's where he called out Logan Paul. Now, this was the time of Logan Paul's sort of a controversy where Logan Paul had that whole Suicide Forest story. And I think I definitely mentioned that before in my segment about Logan Paul himself. And this is where people were hating on him, and KSI was one of them, and that's why he called him out. KSI was like, I'll fight any of the Paul brothers, Logan Paul, Jake Paul, any of the brothers. And I think, that's definitely one of the reasons why KSI called him out, because of that whole controversy. And eventually, Logan Paul did respond. And he did accept the fight. They were accepted for boxing, and this is where it started. It started to blow up, and more people started talking about it because, at the time, Logan Paul was one of the most hated people on the internet, and KSI sort of kind of helped him in that sense, where he helped him gain his name back, not in a positive way, but he gained his name back on social media, and they trained for the fight, and I believe they fought back in 2018. I think it was 2018. KSI versus Logan Paul won. Yeah, that first one. They fought in August of 2018. So it was a short time after the Joe Weller and KSI fight, and KSI and Logan Paul fought in August 2018. It wasn't the most popular thing, but it was well talked about because of the history between both of them. To each other, there was no, prior to history, but each individual, they had history. KSI was known for gaming and being a YouTuber, and he was, is kind of loved by a lot of people, and Logan Paul obviously had the history of being that guy. He recorded the stuff at the Japanese forest, and after taking the fight, Logan Paul got some sort of recognition back, and people were getting his name, and people were hearing his name again all over social media. And and the fight, they fought for at least 6 rounds, and it was a draw. It was kind of sad because it was not sad, but it was more disappointing that the fight ended in a draw because people were expecting KSI to win. People were rooting for KSI because of what Logan Paul did, and KSI did call him out. So they ended up tying or getting a draw, and that was really it for the end. And then eventually, after the fight, there was talks of them having a fight again in the future, and sort of getting a rematch. And it wasn't really much. And as more and more traction about the whole fight and the whole history with their first fight, more and more people were trying to get more involved, and a lot of younger fan bases were getting involved with a sport that not a lot of people talk about that often anymore. At least for me as a Filipino, we love boxing. Boxing is a big part of our lives, and it's one of the number one sports that we watch because of Manny Pacquiao. He was really the guy that brought boxing into our culture and shed some light onto it. And I'm glad I grew up with it. Glad I grew up watching someone fighting, and seeing that younger people and who are not well known to boxing all of a sudden start watching it because of these guys. Really, it's really cool to see that they brought basically a whole new generation with, KSI and Logan Paul brought a whole new generation into boxing and the idea of boxing and fighting and whatnot, because they were able to settle their beef with the fight. And of course, after the first one, there was still some sort of negative feelings towards each other because nothing was resolved. But eventually, in I believe it was 2019 or 2020. Let me see. It was 2019. Yeah, November in 2019, they had the fight, and it was actually a pretty interesting fight. It was more interesting than the first one. I could barely watch the first one because they were both unskilled. They didn't really know how to fight. But yeah, in the second one was way more interesting than the first one. The first one was it was premiered through YouTube, the whole YouTube platform, and you obviously could have pay-per-viewed that through YouTube. But now this time they got an actual sort of what's that called, service, The Zone, that was highlighting this whole fight. And now KSI versus Logan Paul Logan Paul 2 was happening in 2019, and the fight was actually, again, like I said, the fight was pretty good. It lasted the 6 or 8 rounds. I forgot exactly, because again, it wasn't like a full-on professional fight. It was professional, but it wasn't like the full 12 round thing. I think it was 6. Yeah, I think it was 6 rounds. And they were more trained than ever. You could see the skill was different at the time. So Logan had a new coach. He oh my gosh, I'm forgetting these names. I'm looking it up. Logan Paul boxing coach. Yeah, what is his name again? He was, oh my god, I'm forgetting. Shannon Briggs. How did I forget Shannon Briggs? I knew that name too. Shannon Briggs was, former, I think, heavyweight champion boxer. He was really good at his time. And yeah, he was training Logan Paul. And he trained him pretty well too. He was, you can see Logan Paul's experience sort of go up ever since the first one. And KSI had the same coach, I believe, trainer, and he still, improved. And the main issue was that he swings a lot, and that was one of his big things. A lot of people commented about that, and he still kind of had that in the second fight, but it was a lot less, more strategic. And I believe in the third or fourth round, Logan got a good hit, a good uppercut on KSI's face, and that eventually did knock him down. But while he was knocked down, Logan hit him in the back of the head while he was down, which is legal in the sport, and he lost 2 points. And because of those 2 points that he lost, KSI ended up winning. So KSI won the fight, and it prevailed in the end, and they sort of resolved it. There was still some sort of tension towards the end, but nonetheless, there was still some, they sort of squashed the beef in the end, I guess. And, yeah, it was the end of that. Honestly, people were asking, are they going to fight again in the future? And then KSI was like, nope, I am done with this. I am no longer going to be fighting. It's Logan Paul, because, they already had 2 fights, and he doesn't want to do it again. So, yeah, and that was the end of it. And then more and more people are getting involved with YouTube boxing, and one of them is Jake Paul. Jake Paul he got way more involved with YouTube boxing and in the whole world of calling people out. And after his win with Nate Robinson in 2020, he called out a lot of people. He called out Dana White. He called out even Ben Askren, which, again, as we know, he accepted it. But he called out Ben Askren, Dana White. He called out KSI, I think. And then he even called Conor McGregor out. But what's interesting to me is that he's not calling out any of the good boxers. He's friends, or I think he was friends with another YouTuber boxer he's more of a boxer, but he does YouTube videos, named Ryan Garcia. Ryan Garcia is one of the best boxers out right now, just because he's so young. He's in 21, I think, early 20s. Already has a family too, but he is very young. I want to look at his record because it's really impressive. Because he has 21 wins, 0 losses, and wins by knockout 18 of them. Now, if we do that math real quick, so if we do 18, come on, where's my calculator? It's not one. Okay, 18 divided by 21, that is an 86% knockout. What is that? Chance. So if you're fighting him, there's an 81%. That's a good ratio, at least. That's like a really good ratio. And he won't call him out because he knows he's gonna lose. So that brings the question, like, these YouTubers, and especially Jake Paul and YouTuber boxing people, they're only calling out people that they know they're gonna win against. Except for Logan Paul's recent call out, which is I'm gonna talk about in a bit. But yeah, and ever since Jake Paul sort of popularized YouTube boxing, more and more people are getting involved. I forgot the YouTuber's name, but he called out Jake Paul and stuff like that, but he ignored it because, like, it's not worth his time. And yeah, and, like, YouTubers are starting to get, like, a more of a increased rep in terms of the whole boxing thing, because you get one side of people being like, yo, this is really cool, he's gonna start fighting and whatnot, but then you get the other side of people being like, these are just YouTubers, they're not actual fighters. And what's funny enough is that Logan Paul, the loser, basically lost both fights against KSI. We'll give it to that. But he lost. He's going against Floyd Mayweather. And it's really fun. Floyd Mayweather, his track record's even more impressive than Ryan Garcia, I think. Hold up. Give me a second. Look it up. He is at, according to Wikipedia, but, it's just like common knowledge anyways. But he has 50 wins by knockout, 27, so the ratio is a lot smaller, but then he still had a lot more fights and 0 losses, so he's won all of his fights. And, it's really weird seeing Logan Paul fight a guy who's never lost before. It's an exhibition match, though, but still, seeing that whole world of me growing up with Floyd Mayweather because, he fought Pacquiao, and all of a sudden seeing this YouTuber fight the greatest fighter in the world, you can tell it's just for a cash grab. And, even I think Floyd even like admitted to it too. It's just like it's nothing. It's just an exhibition match. Like he even said in an interview where like why even take the fight? Well, Floyd said like I'm an entertainer, I'm also a fighter, but don't forget I'm also an entertainer. So yeah, like that sort of like weird sort of thing where it's like why And he did provide some good points. And again, it's only an exhibition match and. If Logan Paul wins miraculously, it's not counted in his record. People will still clown him for losing. But yeah, it brings really the question, like, what's going on with the whole boxing thing? Because some people feel like it's being tainted by these YouTubers and influencers, like the whole TikTok YouTubers versus TikTok thing. That's not supposed to happen. That's one of the, boxing is a very, very complicated sport when it comes to its fan base. Not only the fighters, but the fan base too, because there's a lot of people serious about this. People, of course, people bet all the time on, baseball games, basketball games, football games. People bet who's going to win, or people bet on the individual itself. You even have a whole March Madness about it, or even the fantasy football. Sure. But with boxing, it's heavier than that. People are boxing, like, people are betting for the individual. They're not betting for a whole team. They're not betting for how the person is going to play out. It's really just who's going to win, or like they're going to be knocked out by this round. So like it's more complicated, and there's a lot. I believe there's like from hearing like or reading certain stories about it. I believe more money is involved with boxing betting than like anything else. And it really does bring the question, like, is boxing sort of losing its touch? Is it sort of being ruined by these YouTubers? Because you get these amateurs who think they can just call anyone out and start boxing, while you have other boxers who have trained their whole lives and who have been fighting for several years and still not gained as much traction as Jake Paul. And, it brings a lot of questions about, the seriousness of boxing and whatnot and the whole YouTube community. And I think it's really interesting to see, where it might go in the future, because as much as I love boxing, it is entertaining to watch all of these YouTubers take on these fights and do these things, which is really cool. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I kind of want to see, I want to see more professional people, more intricate shots, more longer-lasting fights and stuff like that. So again, it's very complicated, but at the same time, there's a lot of story going onto it. So yeah, and I think that's it for this segment. For my next segment, I want to do something a little more fun and just go through the thing I mentioned earlier in my first segment about the hashtag my signature move, which I'm excited to dive into what people's signature moves are and what they, sort of associate themselves with. So, we're going to take a quick break and we're going to go right into that hashtag in just a second.
Want to find out what movies to go see? Then check out the GSMC Movie Podcast. It's your ticket to the latest movies, whether it's a new blockbuster event, romantic, comedy, or action flick. This show has got it all covered. They talk some what to go see now, don't bother, what's hot on Netflix, and everything in between. That's gsmcpodcast.com/movie-podcast. When it's all about the movies, it has to be this new show. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the podcast. So on this segment, I want to do the hashtag My Signature Move started by Jimmy Fallon. And then, this is his tweet. It's hashtags time. Tweet out something funny or weird that only you do and tag it with hashtag My Signature Move. Could be on the show. And it's getting a lot of good replies. They're actually kind of funny. Here's some of them. Actually, because I don't know, this is gonna be like a funny subject. I kind of want to do just because it's like more laid back, and I want to see what people are saying. And I always do enjoy like going through Twitter and reading what people are saying. The first one, at Tim Fancher Comic. So Tim Fancher. Okay. When we go to a restaurant, my family comes up with this word that I have to get our wait staff to say without me saying it or telling them what's going on. Do you know how hard it is to work parakeet into a conversation at an Italian restaurant? Hashtag My Signature Move. And honestly, if you were able to do that, it would be a pretty good podcast host because that involves a lot of talking and a lot of random conversations. And honestly, I wish I could do that. Like the word parakeet, how would I do that at Olive Garden? Is there parakeet in your soup? Excuse me, what? Wait, what did I just say? You just asked me something about the soup? Yeah, but what did I specifically ask? Did you ask if we had parakeet? Like, okay, no, never mind. That would be pretty easy. No, but just like, imagine it would be hard just to do it in random, like, situations. But that's cool. I like that. At BattleBear _ Caleb Morse. Not _ Caleb Morse. It's like BattleBear _ and Caleb Morse. When watching a mystery show or movie, I will accuse literally every character of being the murderer. That way, I'm always right. And you know what? That's kind of the move. What's that? That's a 100% effective rate. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and if you don't guess that any of the characters are the murderer, then you're completely wrong. If you guess that in Knives Out, I'm gonna put a spoiler in this. If you guess every single character in Knives Out was the bad character, or was the bad guy, you would have at least one of the characters right. And that's true, And there's a lot of characters in that movie that you have to guess that are the, not even the main character. I forgot her name, but, what is her name? I don't remember. But, you can even think she's the bad guy, or the bad girl, bad woman. And, she could be that. And you wouldn't even know, because you didn't take that, take what this person said into consideration, that maybe I should guess that every single person in the cast or every character is the bad guy. What even a better plot twist is that every single person contributed to the mystery. That would be pretty cool. And that means everyone's the bad guy, and you win 100%. Like you don't even get that the 1 in 10 chance. Like even that 10% of you winning when you normally guess. Now you get that 100% chance. I'm just kind of rambling on with that, but yeah. Let's see another one. At Kansas Bradbury. So, Kansas Bradbury. I smile at security cameras in case someone is watching at that moment. Just want them to know that I'm hip to their game. Hashtag My Signature Move. And this is so true. When you go to the checkout at Target, the self-checkout at Targets, they have the cameras. I think Walmart has them too. Yeah, Walmart has them also. But the self-checkouts with the cameras, I always just look at them. Because I'm pretty sure it's recording. And I always look at them and do some funny face or do some wacky because maybe there is someone's going to be watching in the future. Maybe the person behind me is some sort of shoplifted, and they need to see the footage of the person shoplifting. And I'm coming in front of that person before they even do something. I'm going to show up in that recording. They're going to look at me and make a wacky face, and they're like, "Oh my god, that's so funny." And they get distracted about the shoplifter, and then now the criminal's on the loose, and it's because of my fault. No, I'm kidding. I don't know what's going on. Literally, my energy is weird because I had to record another podcast for school prior to within the third and this segment. So bear with me. I'm kind of talking a lot, but yeah. Let's give another one. Oh, this is true. I think my brother's probably guilty of this. At June's Blue Line Loon. Film out. I don't really know the handle for that. If you want something from a restaurant, I get my younger sister to crave it and then propose the idea to my parents. 90% success rate. Emojis. My signature move. And, I feel like my brother's done it before, or he's encouraged me. If we wanted waffle fries or loaded nachos at Chili's or something like that, he would be like, "Jay, this looks good, doesn't it?" Because my name's Jose. He calls me Jay. "Jay, this looks good, doesn't it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it does." I wasn't even though prior to that, him saying that, I wasn't thinking about it, or I wasn't even looking at the appetizers. He'd "This looks good, doesn't it?" Right, look at that. Oh, there's bacon on it, and the salsa, it's gonna taste so good. I'm like, "Yeah, it does." Then he gets me hyped up, and now I want the loaded loaded nachos, and now he wants it too. And then he tells me, "Go ask mom and dad for it." I'm like, "Sure, why not?" And then we get it, and he wins. He eats most of it. So I feel like I've fallen to this tactic before. I never really thought about it until this, but wow, that's slimy but smart at the same time. I should probably try that out. I don't have a younger sibling, but I'll try it out sometime. I really do like that. At Ross_Swim14, Ross Gardener. My signature move is to say "what" after my wife asked me something, even though I heard, but my brain didn't process fast enough. Then answer the question when she's in the middle of asking again. And that's true. This is the reason. To the people listening, to my friends, my family, to my loved ones. If you're listening and I say "what," that's probably because I'm still trying to process what you're saying. What this guy said it. Ross said it perfectly. I fully understand. I heard it, but I need a second to rehear you in my head. You said, "Oh, we want for dinner tonight," and I'm like, "What?" I know I heard you say, "What do you want for dinner tonight?" But I'm thinking what do I want for dinner tonight? And then they say it again. I'm like, "Oh, let's go get Chili's," and whatnot. Yeah. So it's true. I relate to this one, my signature move, and I like that because it's true. People are always I don't know, people, whenever I say "what," some people always ask me, "Do you not understand what I'm saying?" Or, "Do you not hear me?" No, I heard you. I just want to make sure, I'm going to answer your question correctly. Or I want to make sure I give it a right or a good answer. Because I don't want to say I want to go to, what's a really bad fast food place or restaurant place? What's I don't know. I don't want to go to, I love McDonald's. I was going to say McDonald's, but I love McDonald's. I don't want to say I want to go to Taco Bell. I love Taco Bell too. Well, dang it. Never mind. Ignore what I'm about to say. Oh, this is true. Okay, CJ_Green or CJ Green. I say, "Yo, that's crazy," after blanking out on the conversation. # my signature move. And I'm guilty of that too. And I completely relate to that because sometimes it's not like conversation's boring or anything. It's not like what their person's saying is boring. In fact, it's probably really interesting, but it's too advanced for me. So I tend to zone out. I'll be I start thinking of something else, or I start to think of the puppy that's getting petted over to my left, it could be anything. And then I tend to zone out, and then I say, "Yo, that's crazy." Someone could be giving the worst news ever. "Oh no, my puppy passed away." And I'm zoned out while he's saying that. Because I'm looking at the taco stand and wondering what I can get from there. Then all of a sudden, the conversation ends, I'm like, "Yo, that's crazy." Again, that reaction could seem a little appropriate. It would kind of make sense. Oh my gosh, my puppy died. "Yo, that's crazy. Your dog was great." I don't know. I feel like it's there's definitely different. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like that's something like that could happen though. Like, you would say someone could say something so devastating and so like heartbreaking, and you would just say, "Yo, that's crazy," and I would just feel bad for the rest of the day because again, I was too busy looking at the taco stand and zoning out and like thinking in my head, "What am I gonna get?" Rather than actually feeling remorse for my friend who's telling me a heartfelt story. And yeah. So CJ Green, I completely agree with you on that one. Let's see, what's like another good one? Oh, this is a classic at Shay Aaron. Shay Aaron. Hashtag my signature move is standing in the shower deciding what I should have said in arguments I've already had. So again, I'm guilty of this one. I totally agree. There are moments where I'm like, oh, I could have said that. But at the time, it wasn't that witty. Like, I feel like throughout the years, I've gotten a little bit more witty in my responses to certain things, like whether it be serious, funny. Like, I've been able to think of things on the fly quite funny if I'm in the mood or if I have the energy to. And there's times in the shower where I'm like, oh, I could have said this, but that was 10 years ago in an argument with my friend who was the better Power Ranger. I don't know. And they were saying the red one. Clearly, the black one is way better than the red Power Ranger because it's cooler. And yeah, but I feel like I would think of something in the shower that I could have said to improve my opinion. Like, 10 years ago, that's too late. Maybe I'll hit up the guy that I haven't talked to in 10 years, and I'll have that same argument again. But yeah, I totally agree with that one. And yeah, it's really cool to see that people like sort of have that relate to that whole little situation. It may be the smallest thing, but it's cool that we all have the same shower thoughts or whatever. Oh, that's cool. I can tie my shoe in less than a second. Hashtag my signature move by Corinne96. And honestly, that's pretty cool. I mean, I could do that too. I'm just kidding. No, I can't. Less than a second? Are you kidding me? That's unofficial though. Like, I'm not taking it because it's unofficial. Like, you're really gonna put out your record online and not expect me to criticize it? It's unofficial. Call me a hater, but it's unofficial. I'm joking. Like, I'm very, very sarcastic right now. Like, take what I say like really with a lot of sarcasm because it's like, I don't know. Summer cannot. The handle Summer. I say holy freaking cheese balls a lot. Sometimes people laugh and stuff. Hashtag my signature move. That's really interesting because I've never heard anyone say that before, and it's probably something you've probably picked up from like an old YouTube video, an old show that you used to watch as a kid. But it's really interesting. That's actually kind of funny. Like, I'll admit, if you said that right in front of me right now, or if we were having a conversation, you said that Summer, I would think that was funny. Because it's so random. It's so like, what does it mean by holy freaking cheese balls? Thank you for censoring yourself too, because some people don't like that. Let's see any other ones. Let's see another one. At Laura Liz Vids or Laura Marassa. Whenever I have a brunch at a restaurant, I line up the little coffee creamers and drink them like they're shots. Hashtag my signature move. Now that's pretty cool. I've never done that before. I feel like, isn't creamer like really sweet though? If you like, compared to regular, I've never drank creamer by itself. Like, as much as I love to drink coffee, I've never drank it by itself. Maybe I should try it one day, but I'm not gonna because it might be too sweet, and I'm gonna be like, oh, it feels gross. But if you do it like shot, to each their own. If you like to drink shots of coffee creamers from your local diner, which has probably been sitting there for the past 3 years, go for it. Go for it. That's cool. And I'll try it one time. I'll take Laura's little signature move here, and I'll try to steal that. Maybe 10 years from now, Jimmy Fallon's still on Twitter, and he's gonna tweet out, "What's your signature move?" Then I'll say the exact same thing. So yeah, well, that's pretty cool actually. I've never heard or met anyone that does that. I feel like I've seen memes of it though, like online, or like seen something online of it. I think we'll go for one more tweet, and then we'll close it off. Let's see. I started humming again. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find some of these. someone spelled cartoon of eggs. So yeah. Oh, this is cute. Okay, we'll end it on a wholesome one. At Stagger McTipsy0. When my dog farts, I blame it on me because I don't want him to feel ashamed. Hashtag my signature move. And that's something, honestly, the complete opposite of what I do. So whenever I'm around with people, as a joke, especially just with my family, say someone farts. Say that someone is me. I'm not saying I fart, but like say that someone is like, hypothetically, if I farted, which I don't. Like I am too classy for that. But it's hypothetically if I farted, I would blame it on my dog. That's again hypothetical. I wouldn't do that. But if I did, I would blame it on my dog and be like, yo, Bella's the name of my dog. Yo, Bella just farted. Guys, it smells stinky in here. Although she's across the room from me, like, the smell traveled so fast, it's like, I can smell it. That is literally something I would do. Like, as a joke, obviously. Like, people would be like, hypothetically. But yeah, that would be like something I would do. That would be like a little quick funny joke. And, yeah. I would blame my farts. I would blame someone's farts on my dog. And, yeah. Because she does it all the time. My dog, like, toots all the time. And I'm like, okay, it's not uncommon for her to do that. So it's kind of a funny joke that I like to do. Just, blame my dogs on my fart on my dog. I don't know what's going on with this segment, but I did enjoy it. And yeah, I think that's really it for this episode today. I had a lot of fun with this one, actually. Like, from that one Jake Paul segment to this one, it was a lot of fun. And yeah. So thank you all for listening to the GSMC Social Media News Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Podcast Network. Again, I'm your host, Jose, and I'll say thank you so much for listening to the podcast and bearing with my voice. It can get a little annoying sometimes, but so thank you. And, yeah, make sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter and anything like that. We'll just stay updated with whatever's going on. And, yeah, again, thank you for listening, and make sure to give us a rating. And any positive one really does help me as a host and helps me stay on as a host, actually. And, yeah, make sure to give us a rating and feedback. Any feedback would really help. So, yeah. Thank you, and I will see you all in the next episode. Peace.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Social Media Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.